Hello, everyone. So, my name is Lisa Chet, and so today I will be talking about the best character, besides Harry Potter, of course, and that is Hermione. So, last episode I made about the Harry Potter series, talks about Harry Potter, the main character. So now I'm talking about Hermione, one of the other main characters, or main female character, if you will. And so, basically, if you guys don't know much about her character, she's in a lot of ways very intellectual. So, which kind of brings my thought a little bit to. So you know how I was saying in last episode that the Sorting Hat for Harry was picking either Slytherin or Gryffindor, while for her, they were actually picking Ravenclaw or Gryffindor. So basically, Ravenclaw, if any of you remember, Ravenclaw basically is for people who are very intellectual, very academically intellectual, just intellectual in general, which is the most common thing people think of when they hear of Ravenclaw. But also, it's also for people who are very curious, very inventive, and just in general, just have a different type of mindset, not like your ordinary mindset, if you will. So that's why for the Sorting Hat, they were picking if she should be a Ravenclaw or Gryffindor. And also, she's also Muggle-born, so meaning that she is a wizard, but she was born from two people that are non-wizards. So her family is actually non-wizard. She's the only wizard, I think. I think that's right. You can double check with me, but yeah, I think that's something along the lines of that. So naturally, she's a very intellectual, very determined, very kind of nonchalant character, which I love. And so that's a little bit about Hermione, but she is very loyal, and she, especially if she feels like, her friends are in danger, or if she feels like she needs to put her foot out there, she will. So that's another reason why I say she is more like Gryffindor, why the house Sorting Hat thought she was more for Gryffindor as well, is because she does have that loyalty aspect to her. And now the reason why she is in Gryffindor and not necessarily in Ravenclaw is, even though she is very intellectual and she is very all-knowing and kind of a bit of a nerd, kind of a bit of a, stuck up when it comes to that type of stuff, that's not really her personality. That's not really like her core values, because in the Sorting Hat, or, whenever they pick people for houses, everyone's just like, why is there houses for children? Like, they're children, they don't know who they are. And I mean, yes, in a lot of ways that is very true. Like, a lot of these kids did go to this school like 11, 12 years old, so like, obviously they don't know who they are exactly, but they do know what they value and what they like. And so that, I think that's why the Sorting Hat kind of picks which house to go to, because, for example, with Gryffindor, their core value is loyalty and being brave and doing what's right and kind of being a leader, which in a lot of ways, even though Hermione does have Ravenclaw attributes, a lot of her core values, in my opinion, this is just my opinion, you can make your own opinion in the comments, but my opinion, that's kind of what her core values kind of align to. And she's also a great supporting character, and she's very wise beyond the years, and she's just a very good asset to the team. And that's another reason why she is, Gryffindor. So, and also, if you want to go along the houses train, Slytherins, their core value is more kind of being independent and doing what they want to do. And kind of power, if that makes. So they're very like self-driven, if that makes sense. So if you think of Gryffindor, where they're like very brave and they want to help people, Slytherin's kind of the opposite. And sometimes Slytherins are good, and everyone that thinks of Slytherins, they're like, oh, they're so bad, oh, but really they're not all of them anyway. Every house, every group is going to have their bad apples and good apples, especially in Slytherin. So there are definitely good people, but there are also a lot of Death Eaters and bad people. And then Hufflepuff is also about loyalty too, and they are a little bit like Gryffindor, where they are very loyal, but they're also very humble, and they're not, because Gryffindor, a lot of them want to be the main character. Even if they're not necessarily self-driven, they still have that leader type to them. While with Hufflepuffs, they kind of like to hide behind the shadows, they kind of like to help, not by being the main character, but by being the side character. So that's kind of their core values. And then Ravenclaw is about intellect and about being wise and about knowing all things, basically. Being smart, But yeah. So that's a little bit about the houses, a little more if you guys kind of forgot, if you will. But yeah, and so that's another reason why I think Hermione definitely, in my opinion, why Hermione is definitely a great Gryffindor is because she, even though she is very wise and she does love to learn and she does love to, be, know all things, be able to grow, etc. She's still, which isn't bad, by the way. There's a lot of good to that as well. But, you can just tell, she more thrives with people and with helping people. So she's kind of in a lot of ways, Harry, a little bit more, I guess, quote unquote, stronger, mentally, I guess you could say. But yeah, so she is, it makes sense why they are definitely friends. And now, obviously, Hermione is a very powerful character, and you would think, why is she not the main character then, if she has such a good, strong will, and etc. Well, you have to understand the story is about Harry Potter, not about Hermione. And also, even though she can be a strong character at times, she also knows how to kind of what I've observed a little bit, she kind of knows how to step aside, if that makes sense. She knows how to kind of have a little bit of Hufflepuffness to her, if you will. And also, a lot of the story is basically about Harry and, his side of things. So, obviously we don't get to see much of her backstory. So that's another reason. But I definitely think that if we learn more about her, she would have definitely been, she would have definitely been the main character she wanted to, So, yeah, there's a lot to that, I guess. So, but yeah, and I do really like Hermione. She's one of my favorite female characters, just because, like I said, she is very nonchalant, which I really like nonchalant characters. I think those type of characters, they're very strong, not necessarily physically strong, but they're mentally strong. And I feel if you're mentally strong, that means you know what you want, you know what you're living for, and you have a purpose. And I really like that, especially with characters like her, because even though she can be kind of a sassy person sometimes, she's still, she's not necessarily living for herself, but she's also living for other people. So, she is still in that kind of leader/hero element, if that makes sense. So, yeah, and I that's another reason why I really like her, and why she, I guess, kind of resonates with me in a lot of ways, is because she just is a very powerful, but still, flexible character, which I feel like we all should learn how to be. Personally, me raising my hand right now, you can't see it, but I am. So yeah, so that's a little bit about Hermione, and I mean there is definitely a lot that I can talk about this character, but this is a YouTube video, so I can talk on forever. But yeah, so, and also I will talk about Ron in another video too. Yeah, on another video too, but I guess her side of things is that, because, okay, so a lot of the fandom, I noticed, really wanted Harry and Hermione to be together, but I think the reason why Hermione and Ron, in my opinion, worked out better was because Hermione and Ron, they just have this kind of clash together in a very friendly and very flirtatious way, in my opinion, because if Harry and Hermione were together, I mean, it's good to be equals with each other, it is, but it's also good to have some differences as well, and Ron, I don't know if you guys know, but he's, a very humorous character. He is very comedic, that's his character in general, he's kind of the goofball, and it's always nice to have a little bit of a balance in a relationship, in my opinion, and to be honest, even in this series, and even just reading this series, Harry never really saw her in that way. He never really saw her in a romantic interest. He more saw her in a platonic interest. I mean, yeah, there was a scene where they kind of show them getting together, but that was just more of a Horcrux, which I did kind of explain in the Harry video, but kind of this thing where basically it's a part of someone else's soul, so it's kind of like a fantasy, and I'm not very good at saying things, so sorry if that's not the best explanation, but it's kind of this thing that it's part of a soul, if that makes sense, or part of an object or something along the lines of that. And so, and you know how with souls you can kind of twist and turn and etc. I hope you understand where I'm trying to go with that. But yeah, and just in a lot of ways, that was more of a fantasy, if you will, quote unquote, or more of just trying to break the trio apart, or kind of the Death Eaters wanting to, and I don't know, I've never felt chemistry from them. Yes, platonic chemistry, sure, but I've never felt romantic chemistry. And I know a lot of people have a different opinion about that. Not everyone's gonna agree on a relationship, but just from me personally, I don't know. I always felt I don't know. I always felt Hermione and Ron were gonna get together, and I mean, even from the first books, how, and the first films, how they talk to each other and how they, communicate with each other. It's just I don't know, guys. I kind of digged it. I kind of shifted, And I mean, a lot of relationships where someone hates each other and then comes with each other, it's kind of inevitable, So yeah, I don't know. So you can definitely tell me in the comments how wrong I am, but that's just how I think about it personally. And I haven't read the books and the films in so long, so I don't remember every little detail about why it worked out, but I don't know, I could kind of tell from I guess you could say amateur psychologist point of view, psychologist point of view, that it worked a lot better in my opinion. So yeah, so that's a little bit about Hermione and kind of about that character. So yeah, I hope you like it, and I'll probably talk about Ron next whenever I make these videos again, because it's definitely going to be a series, because I really like the series, if you can't tell. But yeah, that's a little bit about Hermione. So hope to see you next time. And bye.